y'all, it's Trent on the Loos, and today I've got a very interesting twist. Without a doubt, I think everybody has spent some amount of time in the past 4 years evaluating who's in their circle, because who's in your circle truly influences the way you think, the way you act, and what you do. It's kind of like being a teenager all over again. And you have to parent yourself and say, Trent, you have to hang with the right people. I'm going to give you this history because it's quite interesting. And well, it's my history, and it's going to lead into a conversation here in a moment with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who, believe it or not, this week contacted me and asked if he could be on my broadcast to promote an event. Now, in all fairness, the event took place on Saturday, so don't get hung up on that because we actually had this conversation last week. Today is the kickoff of a new week, obviously. When I began standing up as an advocate for agriculture, I received a phone call from a friend of mine in Washington, D.C. His name is John Doyle. John Doyle called and he said, Trent, I know that you want to stand up for agriculture. Bobby Kennedy is going to be speaking in Minnesota next week, and I think you're going to want to be there. You need to be there and hear what he's saying about modern food production. So I loaded up. I was actually at the Nebraska Cattlemen's event. I left the Nebraska Cattlemen's event and went to St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota. I went to the press conference because I had press credentials. And what I heard this guy say, Bobby Kennedy Jr. And the statement that sticks out of my mind most is that people working on livestock farms today are losing humanity. How could somebody say that? After the event, I went up to him one-on-one. I looked him in the eye. And I said, my name is Trent Loos, sixth generation United States farmer. If you're going to continue to lie about my industry, I'm going to be there and hold you accountable to the lies you tell. And I did. I was able to track where his speaking engagements were. And for 8 consecutive weeks, from Northfield, Minnesota to Clear Lake, Iowa to Oklahoma City, to the Health and Harmony Festival in Santa Rosa, California, to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, all across this country, when he spoke, I was present. The greatest one-liner, he said, and by the way, the third week, he started introducing me to the audience and telling people that I shadowed him and that I attempted to bully him into not telling the truth about corporate agriculture and what was going on. And this guy didn't have a clue what the difference between corporate agriculture and family farming agriculture truly was. Today, thanks to COVID, we correspond on a regular basis. In fact, proud to say that there are times when agricultural issues come up, he contacts me to get some input. So when he asked if he could join me on my broadcast and promote the assembly, which I did, by the way, I'm not saying that I did this after the fact and didn't honor my responsibility. I promoted it on radio. I promoted it on the direct. In fact, 31,000 people have already watched on Twitter this particular conversation. But I was happy to oblige because what you're about to hear, I don't agree with 100%. But in the past 20 years, as you're about to hear him reference, we come together on those issues that we do agree on, because I agree that big government is the ultimate challenge that we have. Big government suffocates our liberty as individual citizens. In fact, the founding fathers of this country said, we're giving you a representative republic, but it's up to you to keep it. Who those players are and what it is that we do to continue to produce a domestic supply of food and fuel should be up to the people on the land, not people sitting in a cubicle in Arkansas, or somebody as a staffer in Washington, D.C. for a bureaucrat. It should be people on the land. So today, we're going to have this conversation with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is obviously campaigning to be the president of the United States. This in no way, shape, or form is an endorsement, although I don't feel like we have many choices when it comes to the truth of who's going to stand up for the small business owner and stand for freedom across the board. I simply want to share the information, and we'll come back after the conversation and discuss what this means and what I think you and I need to do going forward as it relates to a domestic supply of food and fuel. Trent on the Loose. Bobby Kennedy coming up right after this. Trent Loos here for my friend Greg Hager. Do you know why he has been named the Entertainer of the Year? It's because he writes his own stuff. It's because what he writes and performs and entertains will touch you in a way like very few songwriters can touch you. His country, his Christian roots come to life. Visit greghager.com for tour dates, merchandise, and book the show yourself. Use the code GREG24 for a discount. greghager.com.
Are you looking for something special or one of a kind? At Bassett Motors, we can help you find exactly what you want.
Come on in and experience how small town hospitality and personal service can make car buying a pleasure.
We know interest rates are important to you. We have multiple lenders to negotiate your lowest payment.
Visit us on Highway 281 in Carrington, North Dakota, and online at BassettMotors.com. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
At OLS Tubs, we focus on quality ingredients to create premium, low-consumption supplements that save producers time and money. Our customers see increased profits through better conception rates, heavier winning weights, and less time and money spent on doctoring herds. OLS formulas focus on highly bioavailable trace minerals and vitamins, as well as key ingredients to improve immune response, colostrum quality, and feed conversion. Our exclusive formula propels your livestock to their full genetic potential. This is why we confidently say OLS Tubs are simply the best.
In the heart of North Dakota lies a beautiful community to live, work, and play. Beulah is surrounded by nature and just minutes from Lake Sakakawea and all that it offers. The possibilities for fun and relaxation here are boundless. It's the perfect place to find a fulfilling career, epic adventures, and a welcoming community. Life here is legendary. Plan your visit today and see what you're missing.
Folks, when it comes to crop protection, you need equipment and technology you can count on. The Apache sprayer accomplishes all of that, but you need something else. A service counter and a group of people that'll help you when you need it. Simpson Farm Enterprises at simpsonfarm.com and High Plains Apache from Mandan. They have the service, they have the equipment. All they need is your confidence. Online, simpsonfarm.com or highplainsapache.com.
A North Dakota woman and her 4 kids killed by Mexican drug cartels.
Cartels see North Dakota as an emerging market.
When Mexican cartels murder North Dakotans, when the fentanyl they traffic is a death sentence, it's a North Dakota problem. I'm Tammy Miller. Joe Biden won't do his job, I will. If you're here in North Dakota, working for the cartel, let this serve as notice. When I'm governor, we will find you and bring you to justice.
Conservative Tammy Miller.
Welcome back, Trent on the Loose. All right, I set it up. Here it is. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and myself. Last week on Tuesday, by the way, just about 1 week ago today, candidate for the president, I should say independent candidate for president of the United States. How are you weathering the storm, Bobby?
I've been able to maintain this, peace, and I try to do that by telling the truth and doing the right thing and doing all the other things we're supposed to be doing, which is listening to people and not, getting angry, not getting resentful, not exploding, and not feeding into the rancor and the vilification and the polarization and demonization. So anyway, it's so far so good. My wife is happy. Let me put it that way.
At the end of the day, that's all that really matters, isn't it?
Exactly.
I could question you on your vice presidential candidate, but we're on a tight ship today, so I'm afraid that would occupy the rest of the time.
Yeah, I think, I'll just say this about it, because she's been associated with stuff in the past, and that some people, conservatives, were worried about. But she's gone through kind of the same evolution that many of us went through, and particularly during COVID. The stuff that you and I started out as kind of nemesis of each other and then became these unlikely allies and friends. And it's because of, we're all seeing this new paradigm where we see the traditional freedoms of this country being attacked and assaulted. And, it makes all the things that kept you and I apart 10 or 15 years ago seem trivial in comparison to what, we need to kind of all line up and fight against. And Nicole has been through that same evolutionary process. And, she's very, very good on agricultural issues, on trying to understanding that people have big investments in old style agriculture, but how do we incentivize people to shift to, the kind of agriculture that's going to be sustainable over the long term? In other words, it's going to preserve our soil, that's going to increase nutrient density in our food, that's going to, sort of move away from commodity-based agriculture toward food production again, and reducing exposure to farmers from poisons that are really ruining the health of the entire farm community. And how do we do that in a way that doesn't punish all farmers, and that encourages the growth of and the survival of small farms in this country, which is the backbone of our democracy. Thomas Jefferson said, an American democracy is rooted in tens of thousands of independent freeholds owned by family farmers, each with a stake in our system of government, each with a stake in our capitalist system. And that's what differs us from the European, from the colonial model and from the feudal model. But we're moving more and more back to that feudal model with just, really large concentrations of wealth that are dictating agricultural policy and control of our landscapes by billionaires like Bill Gates and by China. And, those are things we all need to line up and fight against.
So, Bobby, due to the fact you went there, I want to get to this because I asked some people what question they would ask you, and you went right to the heart of the biggest question I got. First of all, I'd been waiting for my phone to ring, saying that Bobby Kennedy was calling to ask his old cowboy buddy to be his vice presidential candidate, but that didn't happen. I'm sure I was on the short list. But we have become addicted to subsidies in all of American walks of life, but in particular in agriculture, because that's my bailiwick. We must wean ourselves off of these subsidies, period. How do we do that?
Well, I've been doing a series of talks with farmers who are doing regenerative agriculture all over this country and making money. And I was on yesterday with John Boyd, who's the head of the Black Farmers Association, represents 135,000 Black farmers in this country. But I've talked to I've been addressing exactly that problem, but from a very practical point of view. How do you do it? How do individual farmers maintain their businesses and their operating businesses? And they have to, their primary obligation is to keep that business intact. I'm confident that it can happen. I think you need a federal government. You need a USDA that, number one, is on the side of the small farmers, rather than the captured by Monsanto, Cargill, and and the big agricultural producers and landowners, and that's on the side of small farmers, and that is trying to assist people to transition off of subsidized agriculture and off of chemically based, fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides. That's what I want to do. If I get in there, I can't give you the silver bullet. All I can tell you is I've talked a lot. I think there's 100 things that need to be done. to take USDA out of that culture of capture and then to listen to farmers and to bring people. I hope that you will come to Washington and be part of my team and help me figure out how to do this in a way that's going to preserve all the things that we really care about this country.
One area where they continue to hold over our head, and you and I talked about this the last time, is eminent domain. In particular, I'm talking about a CO2 pipeline. We must not allow eminent domain to be a weapon to take our private property rights away. Bobby, I think we're holding our own in that regard, but from a legislative and an executive standpoint, we need somebody to say, we'll not let the government violate the Constitution when you don't have a public use, take land away in eminent domain.
Yeah, and what they're doing now, they're doing this not only, with that 6 to 8, 3,000-mile pipeline that is, your old buddy Bruce Rastetter and BlackRock, which owns Navigator, which has the Wolf pipeline, and then Archer Daniel Midland, which has the third leg of that pipeline. They're not only they've captured the government in Iowa with just legalized bribery, which is their campaign contributions, and they're part of this trend, which is disguising. But the Constitution, as you know, says the government can only exercise eminent domain for a public purpose, and that used to mean you building a port, or you're building a railroad, or you're building an airport or something like that is clearly going to benefit all of the people of that community. So you're asking a small number to make the sacrifice, giving them due process and just compensation. But now they're using eminent domain and disguising the public purpose of anything that produces tax revenue. And that's a public purpose. That means anybody, any corporation can now come into your state and say, I want to, build this boondoggle. Well, this is one of the biggest boondoggles in American history, that pipeline.
It is.
It's extraordinary what they're getting away with, and they're pretending it's about climate, which is not. It's a huge subsidy to energy producers and to the biggest corporations in our country, under the pretense that they're doing something good for the environment. They're doing the opposite of that. It's going to increase, in all probability, carbon emissions, whether you believe in climate or not. It's not doing what it says it's going to do. The U.S. government has spent $12 billion on these projects over the past 10 years, and every one of them has failed. Archer Daniel Midland itself has invested billions of dollars in these projects, and everything that they've invested in has failed. It collects 3% of the carbon that it was supposed to. So, and now, now they're going to use this kind. They can't get a permit for deep well injection from the state of North Dakota. And so it's kind of now clear what they're doing is that they're going to use that carbon to inject it into the Bakken crude oil fields, which are now diminishing, in order to increase oil production in those fields. Well, however you feel about that, it puts a lie to the whole project, because the project is supposed to diminish carbon emissions, and it's actually going to increase them. Whether you think that's a good idea or not, the whole thing is just a big, big lie. It's a boondoggle, it's a fraud, it's a hoax. And, they had to pay off every politician in Iowa to get it done. I'm very, very happy that the Iowa House has voted overwhelmingly to take away this power of eminent domain on this project, but it's being held up by the Senate. And again, you start looking at how much these guys have taken, the leaders who are making these decisions, and the governor, from Bruce Rastetter and from the other, proponents of this pipeline, beneficiaries, I'd call them. It's clear why they're doing it. It's not for a public purpose. It's for their private purse.
It's monopolizing a valuable commodity, CO2. That's what it's about. You've got some handlers that are going to hook you pretty quick here. Speaking of Iowa, you have a significant event coming up in West Des Moines on Saturday, an assembly. Tell us about that, and what do we need to do?
Yeah, well, I have to get 1.5 million signatures to get on the ballots in all 50 states, which I'm going to do. And Iowa has all the states have these bizarre rules, but Iowa has a really great rule for me, which is it exempts you from the ballot requirement if you can assemble 500 people in a single room at a single time, and they all fill out a short form saying they were at that event, and that's it. And so we're going to do that at the Val Air Ballroom in West Des Moines this Saturday. I'll be there, and people can figure out where it is by going on Kennedy24, Kennedy24.com/events. And if you can come to to Des Moines, West Des Moines that day and show up for a half an hour at this event, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And I look forward to meeting all of you. I'm going to try to do a selfie line and take a picture with everybody, which we do at every event, and we're going to get on the ballot.
Final words, Bobby. What do you want us to most know? What's your takeaway?
My takeaway is I'm going to fight harder for the American farmer than anybody who's running. It's a priority for me. It's been, I think, like I said, the American farmer is the backbone of our nation. We need to make sure that they have that hardworking people have business models that work. That we continue to be the breadbasket of the world, we continue to feed the world in this country, and that we go back to having very, very high quality foods with, great nutrient density, and we help farmers who want to transition off of the chemicals and the poisons and subsidies and make money on their products, which I think is really why people are on farming, and not make themselves sick in the process, and make sure they preserve the soil so that asset is something that they can leave with pride and with assurance to their children.
Thank you, Bobby. I do appreciate and believe that when you tell me if you get to the White House that you'll be there asking me to assist. I'll do what I can for this country because our kids and grandkids are depending upon it. We'll take a break. We'll be back with a few final thoughts. Trent on the loose from the pasture after this.
People get sick for two reasons and two reasons only. Your body's missing something that it needs, or it's exposed to something that it doesn't need. So if you supplement what the body's missing, the body fixes itself. If you remove from the body toxins that are interfering with the body's doing what it's normally designed to do, then the body heals itself. It's really that simple.
NO2U, that's nitric oxide, NO, number 2, letter U.com, and you put Trent as coupon code, you don't pay any shipping.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our Living Cultural Center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
Welcome back, y'all. It's Trent on the Loos as I wrap this up from our place here in central Nebraska, holding a cow patty, a dried cow patty. You know, here's what I don't have any time for in today's world, to be honest with you. I don't have any time for people who don't get their hands dirty, who don't understand that's not something that we should worry about, but rather something that we should manage and get to where it needs to be. Let's have an honest discussion about regenerative agriculture. Let's have an honest discussion about who the family farms are in this country. And I think that Bobby did a great job opening up some of those places. Unfortunately, in that time frame, we didn't have time to accomplish what it is that we can have in terms of this bigger discussion. But I'm going to repeat what I started with at the beginning of this program. I have zero time for aides and people sitting in cubicles who don't come out here and take care of the land and then start telling me what sustainability is all about. My family has been taking care of the land in this country since 1832. And I'm just one example of the farm families and ranch families all across this country and quite frankly around the world who for 100 to 200 to 300 years have been taking care of the same land. And all of a sudden now, the experts in sustainability is someone other than the people who are actually doing it. We continue to try to find a way to jump the hurdles that they being the USDA or the EPA or anybody else, would jump the hurdles that they want us to jump to continue to be in business, have the social license to operate. I'm not doing this as a luxury. Number one, I'm doing it like most people in agriculture because we're not smart enough to leave what looks to be the most impossible task ever. To improve mankind. Improve this land and improve mankind. And we recognize that everything that we do or don't do to this land plays a role in what's going to happen for our family and our legacy in the next generation. That's the part of the discussion that I want to open up much wider going forward. Whether it be in coffee shops, or in the halls of Congress, or in the regulator offices and bureaucrats sitting in those cubicles, the cubicle dwellers, who think they know more about us and can pick up a cow pie and talk about how this is the source of life. God bless the veterans. Thanks for the phone call, Bobby. Look forward to our next discussion. And best of luck in this election. God bless the veterans and the farmers who feed us.
We're the ladies of Another View. Join us at 9 a.m. weekday mornings.
We'll discuss issues you care about from local and national perspectives.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Beck TV and online at beck.news.
Look, so see these cows here, Trent?
everyone. I'm Trent Loos. Welcome to another Live Across the Pond with my pontification partner, Andrew Henderson. Good afternoon, UK. And I'm marking myself safe post-storm last night at 3:30. I'm not sure Andrew's safe yet. Good afternoon, UK.
No, I seem to be. I seem to be of great interest to the boys in blue in this country, which is our description of the police. And yesterday, you know, when I was telling you that the car next to me was being assessed for every single possible thing,
We saw it.
I thought, well, maybe I'm going to get away with this. So as soon as we finished, I put my car in reverse, and this hand went up, stop. And I was like, okay, what have I done wrong? Well, we're just checking commercial vehicles. I said, what for? And then he went on about, well, we have to make sure that you're not carrying excess weight. I said, in all the times I've been driving in the UK, nobody's ever stopped me for that. I said, I'm not even driving at the moment. Yes, but we noticed you had your engine on. He said, yeah, but I'm not driving. I'm in a parking space. I'm keeping my engine on to keep warm. Well, strictly speaking, as soon as your engine is on, you're in control of a very dangerous weapon.
He did not say the word weapon.
He did. And I was
He did.
Okay. Yeah. So I said, it's facing a wall.
This is not funny. I'm just laughing. It's not funny.
Yeah. So anyway, he then said, do you mind if we check your tires? I said, I don't mind what you do. Oh, could you give me your driver's license? Why? Well, we're just checking that you're the authorized driver of the farm, of the car. And I said, I am, and I will. And I said, what are you doing this for? Never you mind, sir, was his answer. You don't have to tell me. And I said, this is freedom, is it? I said, this is freedom in the UK these days. Oh, we get this all the time, he said, from people like you. I said, what do you mean people like me? You don't even know this.
I regret that we didn't have all this on the air. This is good stuff because it's happening to you, not me, by the way.
Okay, so anyway, Trent, I'm gonna segue into something very close to your heart, and when I tell you about it.
Okay, but you have to finish the story. Just before we started today, you had another knock on the door.
Find it. No. I've just come off the motorway, and I've parked at a brand new, what looks to me like a lay-by, and this guy comes across and says, "It's a freeway." I said, "What's a freeway?" He said, "See that camera there? You're not allowed to park anywhere near there. It's free." I said, "Free for what?" And he said, "You have to keep it clear." I said, "But you can pass. You're passing me now." And he went, "I know." He said, "But I'm just telling you, there's a camera there. They might give you a ticket." And I said, "For what?" And he said, "Well, it's designated freeway."
Clearway is what he actually said.
Clearway.
Yeah, he said clearway. I could hear it.
What does that mean, Jen? What does that mean?
It means you stay out of the way. You keep it clear. Does it mark the clear way? Or are you supposed to just know by osmosis?
No by osmosis. It says no parking. But then when you
well, that was kind of a dead giveaway.
No. But it's a temporary no parking, and it's a brand new. It's like a.
Oh.
It's where you would park up. It's where you would park up. Anyway, forget it.
Wait a minute. I've done that before too. It's like, oh, that's probably a temporary no parking. They don't mean that for me.
No. Anything that's yellow, any yellow sign in the UK is a temporary sign. And it looks like whatever they're doing is finished. So I think the sign hasn't been taken away. It's nonsense. Whatever it is, it's nonsense. Anyway, there's nobody. And by the way, when I pulled out, another guy parked up in the same place.
So what I couldn't tell was it appeared the guy who just told you were in a clearway was just another citizen who was, overly compliant and trying to keep you in line too.
No, he lives to the left of me. I've followed.
Oh.
I've followed him out, and he's obviously a job's worth. Do you know what that means?
No.
He's got nothing better to do. He's an old man who's wanted. So why is it here? I don't know, but that's what it says. And I'm like, oh, get a life.
Yeah. Okay.
What is it? Because if you saw what that was, where I've just been, you'd park up there. Anybody would.
Oh yeah. Particularly if it said no parking.
No,
I'd go park there for sure.
You're causing no obstruction for anybody here. Zero.
If you only had an electric car, Andrew, you could park where you want to park.
It's not, by the way, it's not got a double yellow line. It's, I'm telling you now, I'm not going to get a ticket. Anyway, so I want to segue.
All right, go.
What happened? What's been happening in my life? Because it actually comes back to something that you told me a long time ago, and I thought about it, and now I'm really convinced you're right. But I don't think you quite realize how serious this is.
Okay.
So
I can't wait.
I've been listening to an audio book that's been written by a famous crime writer here in the UK, who is known for how accurate he is with the detail around how the police work, but also how detailed he is about what's really happening in the world. And this whole murder mystery is surrounding, get this, the importation of puppies from abroad, use so-called rescue dogs, and what the real implications and story is behind this, the George Soros story. And I've been listening with fascination to this book and how accurate it is, and also getting extremely scared as to the implications of it. So the idea is that animal rights people, they want us to look after animals from all over the world. So they pay serious money for people to find dogs in other countries or puppies in other countries and somehow get them into countries like the United States or into the UK for very nefarious reasons, not least potentially bringing diseases to these countries. Now that's where you start going, ooh. And all the really good people who think the right thing to do is to take a rescue dog are the people that are potentially causing mayhem in their own societies. That's a really serious issue.
Did he also go into the South Korean dog meat market and how the rescue was to save these dogs from meat consumption? And now they're the dogs spreading disease around the world to dogs that really have no reason to have disease?
Yeah. It doesn't really cover it in those terms, but the implication is the same. What we talk about here is dogs coming from Romania, Poland, and various other areas. But the whole thing is a scam. There isn't, these dogs are not rescued. They're actually being, if you like,
trafficked.
They're being trafficked, but they're also being illegally, they're illegal dog rearers who are being paid by these huge corporations to do this.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Absolutely.
So I watched this.
Well, I just was going to give a reminder to everyone. In the United States, we have a replacement rate of 9 million dogs each year. According to the USDA data, who keeps track of where, and this is problematic too, why the USDA even knows how many dogs are raised, but through permitted processes, there's roughly 2.4 million dogs raised in the United States by legitimate breeders. So you have a discrepancy of 7 million dogs in demand each year for pets. That's a big hole, and that's where this criminal activity fills in.
No, but it's potentially more nefarious than that.
No, I know. They bring in these dogs not only for drug purposes, but they bring them in and take them to, and Wisconsin was the first target by the Humane Society of the United States, bringing dogs out of South Korea that were knowingly sick, exposing the dogs and the dog breeders to try to cripple dog ownership in the United States, period.
Yeah, this particular novel takes it to another level. And what it's suggesting is just how far they might go. in order to achieve their aims for the population of the world. And for example, we haven't had an indigenous case of rabies here in the UK since 1922.
Oh, wow.
But the inference is that could easily happen very soon by what's been going on with these rescue dogs from Eastern Europe. And I started thinking about this and thought, I'm listening to this, I'm looking at where the police are focusing at the moment. You talk about me parking in a place where it says no parking. It's a yellow sign, and I'll come back to that. It's all the emphasis is in the wrong areas. That's what I'm saying to you. So when I see today that they're actually sending out letters into Mexico to explain to immigrants how they can get into the USA so they can vote Democrat, I'm really quite worried about that.
It's live across the pond. No yellow lines here. It's all green. Oh, it's too bad the word green's been hijacked too. We're back with more after this. I am really, really tired of hearing people say all the cheating happens in the cities. It doesn't happen in my county. It happens in every county USA.
In Hanson County, a county commissioner owns one of these. And when you look down there in Emory, South Dakota, where the population is 465, drive down. And what's incredible is that this particular county commissioner has 1,400 registered voters in his house. And it's just stunning that he wins every single commissioner race. Then you have...
I don't know how that would work. How would that possibly work? When you have more voters in your house than you have in the district.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our living cultural center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
Trent Loos here for my friend Greg Hager. Do you know why he has been named the Entertainer of the Year? It's because he writes his own stuff. It's because what he writes and performs and entertains will touch you in a way like very few songwriters can touch you. His country, his Christian roots come to life. Visit greghager.com for tour dates, merchandise, and book the show yourself. Use the code GREG24 for a discount. greghager.com.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Are you looking for something special or one of a kind? At Bassett Motors, we can help you find exactly what you want.
Come on in and experience how small town hospitality and personal service can make car buying a pleasure.
We know interest rates are important to you. We have multiple lenders to negotiate your lowest payment.
Visit us on Highway 281 in Carrington, North Dakota, and online at BassettMotors.com. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Folks, when it comes to crop protection, you need equipment and technology you can count on. The Apache sprayer accomplishes all of that, but you need something else. A service counter and a group of people that'll help you when you need it. Simpson Farm Enterprises at simpsonfarm.com and High Plains Apache from Mandan. They have the service, they have the equipment. All they need is your confidence. Online, simpsonfarm.com or highplainsapache.com.
Look, so see these cows here, Trent.
Welcome back, live across the pond. Trent, Loos, Andrew Henderson. Andrew's been gathering details during the break to see why he was violating the law.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the dogs, because this is you've got me on something here, because
Okay, but time out. The guy's
this
name
to
is
me.
Peter James.
Yes.
I doubt that's his real name, but
no,
anyway,
that's
I want
his
to
real
find
name.
him.
And by the way, Peter James is one of the best. If people watching this, if you want to hear fantastic crime books with the same characters that develop over the years, this is book number 19. He's one of my favorite authors, and his stories are very accurate in terms of what's actually happening on the day. I mean, what his third book, which is in 2003, was all about what happened in 9/11. You should listen to that book too. It's very impressive. He's a world bestseller, Trent. And if you haven't tried his books, you will love them.
Did he walk through how the Bush cabal created 9/11?
No, it's a completely different scenario to that. It's he uses 9/11 as a setting for one of the murders that his main character has to investigate. But through that, you get a really good understanding of just what all those people had to go through after the event and what actually happened in New York. It's incredibly detailed as to what the investigators were left with when those three buildings came down. You must listen to his stuff. It's brilliant because first of all, it's fantastic drama, and secondly, it's very accurate in terms of really good policing. Now, I want to come back to it though, because within the story, the first thing he says is, I hope, because he's obviously a dog lover himself, I hope that this does something to improve people's understanding of what's actually going on in the world with dog trafficking. Now, that's the first thing. Now, he centers it on, I would try and describe this as less than scrutable breeders. So he does center it on that, which I know you won't like, but it's done in a way that the breeders concerned here are not from the UK. They're from other parts of the world, and they are being sponsored and financed by people from other parts of the world, which does fill in with where I think you come from and have come from in the past. But what I found extraordinary was that I went to speak to some people in my family about this book, and they said, "Oh no, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what he's found out." And yet, what he's actually, and the people I'm talking about love his previous books. What he's revealing is that the very thing that the dog lover thinks is the right thing to do is the wrong thing to do. That is how big this is. Do you understand what I'm saying, Trent?
Yeah, written about it for 20 plus years.
That people think they're doing the right thing, and they're very obviously doing the wrong thing. And that's
Actually,
a really, really big message here.
The coined phrase I use to describe this is they're loving them to death.
Yeah, and themselves potentially. And
absolutely.
You know, and if you bring in a dog that's got a behavioral problem or a problem with adults, there's a reason for that.
No, it's a history. There's no dog with a problem. There's always a human with a problem that had a dog that didn't have one, or a horse, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So I've picked this up, and I wanted to talk to somebody about it, but others, no. In fact, one person I know very, very dearly said to me, "Listen, I realized that he was going to write about that, so I sent the book back." I went, "What?
Why? Why would you not want to know?"
Exactly. That is the issue that I cannot understand. about that tells me more about society than I could ever imagine.
Right.
That it's because it worries me to death that people aren't prepared to open their minds and just think, well, maybe they come to the conclusion the guy was wrong, but at least they've heard a different point of view. And that's what concerns me about society as a whole. You know, at the moment, you've got unfettered immigration, you've got unfettered, so have we, by the way, child trafficking and drug cartels running through your border, as we have as well. It's the number one issue, and yet a very large percentage of people are turning a blind eye to it in the way that those people turned a blind eye to the Holocaust. It's the same issue, isn't it, Trent?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And just to ramp that up a bit, to say how dangerous it is to mankind, the federal government and most every state has more stringent laws for prosecution would be a better word, prosecution for people who commit crimes to dogs than kids.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
It is a problem. I mean, at the end of the day, Trent, you and I, we're not 100% on the same page here. Anybody that mistreats an animal should feel the full strength of the law. If they're proven to have mistreated an animal, I think we both agree on that, don't we?
I agree. But that should not be a greater crime than mistreating a kid.
Well, I find that, I don't know, anything that mistreats a living thing, it's a very serious offense one way or the other. I mean, whether you kill a grandmother or a child, it's the same crime, Trent.
Well, a person. But you should not put the penalty against a dog higher than that against a person. And that's what's happened.
I never said that.
Yeah, but that's what's happened.
So sure you should. I'm not so sure that it should be a lesser crime either if you abuse an animal. You know, especially something that can't fend for itself. So again, I'm a little bit uneasy with your process there, because you're inferring that the abuse of an animal is a lesser crime than the abuse of a human. I'm not sure that that's true.
I do put the life of a human above that of an animal, no doubt about it.
Okay, well, then we can agree to disagree on that. I just think anybody that knowingly causes pain and suffering, the crime.
I did not support pain and suffering. I just say there are degrees when it comes to criminality, and the pain and suffering against a human is of much more concerning to me than pain and suffering against an animal. It doesn't mean I don't have no concern about that. It's just that the life of a human being is most important to me.
Okay, well, then that's to you. Okay, well, with respect, I'm not on the same page as that. I think any cruelty of any description, including the murder of an animal or a murder of a human, I think that those crimes are the same. You'll be judged for that in the same way if you cause pain and suffering.
So by taking the life of an animal and eating it, you are going to be judged for that? Because that's really where you're walking to.
No,
you are.
No, I'm not. I'll explain that one. At the end of the day, if an animal is humanely euthanized for consumption, for food consumption, I have no problem with that. It's when it's cruelty and suffering through desire, that's a different thing.
So every cheetah in the jungle is making sure they humanely take the life of an animal?
No, but that's good. I'm glad you're having this debate with me. We are intelligent enough to know the difference.
Exactly.
And what we do.
Which is why we should have a different level of crime for people who are intelligent, inflicting pain and torture on other people of intelligence.
As well as animals. The same.
I'm not saying it's not criminal. I'm saying that there's nothing more important. I mean, you just got to go back to Genesis. God gave dominion of plants and animals to the human being. It's our responsibility to take care of them and respect them, not to mistreat them.
Well, and then if you mistreat them and don't respect them, that's the same crime as doing the same with a human. Same crime. It's not a lesser crime.
So,
Anyway,
I want to two things I wanted to get to. We're not going to have time to, but I had several people send me a note about a Missouri Senate bill, which they were fearing would classify homeschoolers as gun-free zones. And I've talked to one of a Missouri senator. He sent me a letter of a analysis of Senate Bill 727. I've read Senate Bill 727. And there is no way this should be interpreted as eliminating guns in the homes of preschoolers. The interpretation is that the Missouri statute and the Missouri Constitution, not a Missouri statute, the Missouri Constitution is very much in support of Amendment 2, and there will be no taking away of right to bear arms with Senate Bill 727 in Missouri. The letter can be found. It's really good.
Okay, that's good. But somebody can choose to homeschool without a gun. Is that, you're not saying that they shouldn't be allowed to do that, are
Yes, I'm saying that the Missouri Senate Bill 727 says in order to homeschool in Missouri, you must have a gun at the front door. No, that's not what I said. I made that up. It says that you will not have your right to bear arms infringed upon if you're homeschooling. That's the summation.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's fine.
Live across the pond, regaining control for the farmer and the people who park in the yellow zone, one bite at a time. For Andrew Henderson, I'm Trent Loos. We'll see you tomorrow.
From jail, maybe. Bye.
At OLS Tubs, we focus on quality ingredients to create premium, low-consumption supplements that save producers time and money. Our customers see increased profits through better conception rates, heavier winning weights, and less time and money spent on doctoring herds. OLS formulas focus on highly bioavailable trace minerals and vitamins, as well as key ingredients to improve immune response, colostrum quality, and feed conversion. Our exclusive formula propels your livestock to their full genetic potential. This is why we confidently say OLS Tubs are simply the best.
People get sick for two reasons and two reasons only. Your body's missing something that it needs, or it's exposed to something that it doesn't need. So if you supplement what the body's missing, the body fixes itself. If you remove from the body toxins that are interfering with the body's doing what it's normally designed to do, then the body heals itself. It's really that simple.
NO2U, that's nitric oxide, NO, number 2, letter U.com, and you put Trent as coupon code, you don't pay any shipping.
In the heart of North Dakota lies a beautiful community to live, work, and play. Beulah is surrounded by nature and just minutes from Lake Sakakawea and all that it offers. The possibilities for fun and relaxation here are boundless. It's the perfect place to find a fulfilling career, epic adventures, and a welcoming community. Life here is legendary. Plan your visit today and see what you're missing.
Open Range is going to be like a digital magazine, I call it. We're going to be looking at a variety of subjects from agriculture, energy, sports, art, politics, of course, and we will be talking about a lot of subjects, having a lot of guests on, and I'm going to have a variety of co-hosts. One of them is Memo Barreto, Gail Wetzel, Gene Grainer, Dustin Goverlau, and Daryl Lease. Welcome to Open Range, weeknights at 9 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.